Welcome back, Negotiating with Jesus. I'm Tom. We're going to go through another verse in the Bible. We're going to do a couple verses in Mark. We're going through the book of Mark. We'll go through the entire book, which is a great, quick, exciting, dramatic view of Jesus. The first, earliest gospel. In the first chapter, rather than any stories about the birth or childhood of Jesus, it goes right to his ministry. So we met John the Baptist. He was baptized. Jesus was baptized and began his ministry. Now we're in a section where he's started his ministry and has gone out and begins to heal. So Mark chapter 1 verse 29, as soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. So he went to her, took her hand, and helped her up. The fever left her, and she began to wait on them. That evening, after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. So there's a small section. Jesus begins his ministry. They left the synagogue, so that is the place where Jesus would go, and it's where it's like the Jewish gathering building, the religious building, like the church building. They gathered, they would discuss scripture, they would read from the law and the prophets. The teachers of the law would tell people what they thought about it. There may be some discussion. They would read scrolls. And so they had all these ancient texts on hand, all the ancient texts transmitted by hand, written from by scribes, people whose job it was to carefully write what was on an older document, write it onto newer ones. Or they may have had a copy document that they just kept writing off a nice fresh copy and just kept mass producing as mass as they could, like one every. How long does it take to write the whole Bible? Try that at home. Let me know. Write it in the comments below how long it took you to write by hand, carefully getting every word right, how long it would take you to write the entire Bible. I actually think that would be an enjoyable project, so you go ahead and take that up. They copied all documents. All ancient documents were copied by hand until the invention of the printing press around mid 14th century. Something like that. So they left the synagogue, went to Simon's house, Simon and Andrew's, and Simon's mother-in-law was there in bed with a fever, so she's ill. Here's something that I found out from listening to thebibleproject.com. Listen to Tim and John as they give some great Bible lessons. Go to thebibleproject.com, look at as much of their material as you can. It's very good. They're talking about Jesus and what it was, how Jesus was so different. Now, typically in Jewish custom, if someone was ill, and the thing about Jewish custom is it's the same as our custom. There are some differences, but we understand all of it. When somebody is ill, we have some sense that they are unclean, and we do not get in contact with them. They're sneezing, they want to shake hands, we're like, we pull back. Whoa there, big fella. Not interested in catching your cold. So the idea of uncleanness, and that we do not want to contact those who are unclean. We even play cooties, and when we're in school, we understand what it is to be unclean, and somebody touches you and gets cooties on you. That was when I was a boy. I don't know if you kids these days do those funny things. So we totally understand the idea of unclean. We put masks on so that we can't suck in the germs of all these sick people all around us. In hospital, now we're always scrubbing our hands up with sanitizers because, we don't want to get your germs on me. Now, in the Bible Project, they talked about the difference between what it was with Jesus when he touched people. Jesus went to the unclean, and when you would touch the unclean, their disease or their uncleanness would get on you. When Jesus touched somebody, his holiness got on them, his wholeness. He would restore, and the exact opposite effect would take place. So Jesus contaminated contaminated others with purity, with righteousness, with holiness, with healing. And it's the most unusual thing. And if that happened, if that was happening in your neighborhood, here's how you would react, just the same as they would react. That evening, people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. And it's like you find out that there's somebody who's touching people and they're made better. All of a sudden, you're like, hold it a minute. I have friends, family. I have my own problems. I need a touch from that healer. And people came out, and Mark presents it as if the whole town was flocking out. Mark always being very dramatic and using hyperbole, exaggerating perhaps. I don't know if exactly the whole town went out, but it was very dramatic, and Mark is presenting it just the way it is, very dramatic. Now, when Simon's mother-in-law was healed, the fever left her immediately, and she began to serve people in this beautiful task that she said, now you boys sit down. I'm going to get you something to drink. Can I get you anything? She immediately starts healing. So, and the other thing that's mentioned in the scripture is that the demon-possessed are coming to have evil spirits removed from them. And I know right today many people who need some evil spirits exorcised from them. I know some people who have the spirit of meanness, who are unkind, who are cruel, or just very angry, very sorrowful. There's all kinds of possessions that take place in our minds. And I don't care if you say now it's some kind of psychological disorder, but we can be possessed. I'm possessed with anger anytime I drive a car and somebody's in front of me. I'm like, just go. I'm at a light and he's turning left. I'm like, get out into the intersection and go. So I'm possessed all the time. I need some healing sometimes. But here's what Jesus said to those who were demon-possessed. He said, he did not allow the demons to speak and announce who he was, because they knew exactly who he was. Son of God, what do you want with me? And he's like, you be quiet. I don't need to hear your talk. You just get out of him. And he didn't want to announce his presence at that time. He wasn't looking for popularity or fame. He was simply ministering, and people spread by word of mouth, exactly as we would today, except for we'd post it on Twitter or put it on our Instagram or something. So there's this scripture, Ron, Mark 1, verses 29 through 34. Jesus begins healing, and he's making a stir, just like we would see today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button and put your comments below if you have any questions or comments. And if you need some kind of healing, put that in there. Ask, we'll pray for you. We'll continue to do things. We're going to interact. We're going to go through the Bible with you. Talk to you later next time.